All right, three, two, one, let's do this thing. Hello, movie watchers, and welcome to episode 8 of The Luner's Cut, your place for long-form, raw, and unedited discussions about a TV show or movie that we are passionate about this week. I'm Kevin Kaine, that's Travis Moon. Come and join us on the edge of those seats. First off, if it's your first time here, welcome. We're glad you're joining us. Secondly, what exactly is this? The Lunar Cut is our safe space to talk about TV shows and movies. Each week, we pick a show or movie that we're passionate about and having a discussion on. Plot, visuals, cinematography, leaps and logic, weird tangents, anything and everything in between. For an hour or more, probably more, these idiots talk your ears off until we're exhausted our mind holes about the movie or TV show that week. This week would be Shazam. I don't know whose official pick it was, but whatever. We're going to talk about it regardless. But before we do that, let's get to some housekeeping. Where can you watch us? This show is part of the Moon Movie Review YouTube channel, and you can find it on podcasts. You can find it in podcast form on various podcast services out there, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. As always, those links are in the description. Shout out to Dan and the crew at Crowd and Sound Creative for our awesome intro and outro music and probably break music if we end up doing that. You can find them for your creative needs at www.crowdandsound.com. And now we can get to it. Shazam. First off, Travis, what do you think?
I laughed a lot during the movie. I thought it was very fun, very funny. I pretty much enjoyed it for the most part. I don't really have many complaints. And of the ones I do have, I think they're silly.
What? You silly complaints on, please. I can kind of reflect the sentiment as well. This is a very fun movie, and it's encouraging from the DECU side of things that they're able and capable, those are the same words, willing to make a movie like this, which is relatively silly, relatively heart-warming, not sad. We have a superhero who generally likes being a superhero. Like, he's not just all sad all the time, like, I'm Superman, I don't want to be Superman. So
life is so hard.
It is, but clearly these kids can handle all of that better than the adult versions of the superheroes. So, no, I enjoyed this movie a lot. Unfortunately, sorry, movie watchers, it took us a while to get this one out, mainly because we were on vacation last week. And I literally was. Travis was actually working, but our schedules didn't quite coincide to be able to watch the movie and then record it live in person like we were thinking. But anyways, I heard this movie was great. The reviews were coming out and everyone was enjoying it. It's by no means like the top rated one, but it definitely did well as far as the movie critic peers are concerned. So that was encouraging. Whenever based off the trailers, you kind of realize. Before I watched the trailer, I wasn't sure how this movie would go, just because I vaguely understand who the character is. Definitely don't follow him near as much as I do on the Marvel side, but I thought he was an interesting character. But the dynamic of having a kid be in his adult's body and pulling that off was always going to be rather interesting, how they could portray it. A lot of people thought The Rock was cast as Black Adam, which is like an antagonist for Shazam. A lot of people, and I thought it was a good call, The Rock would have been great as Shazam, to be able to act like a kid and still look like a superhero.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
And he doesn't need any like padding, right? He already looks like a freaking superhero. It would have been fine. They went with Zachary Levi, and I thought that was a great choice. Right when I heard it, I was like, yeah, he can pull it off. And I'm sure he bulked up for this role, but they went ahead and just went over the top with the costume. First off, costume is great. I love it. It is unabashedly comic book to the nines, right? Like, it is.
Yeah.
There's no. They didn't calm it down at all. Like, that is his costume. If you look up on images of the comics, they added padding, definitely. That's definitely not all Zachary Levi, but I liked, and that's kind of the thing when he transforms. I forgot the exact technical details of of his powers. When he transforms I think they said in the movie, it's your full potential, right? You become your full potential. So the prime age, I guess physical peak, Captain America Super Soldier Serum syndrome, right?
Right.
So I guess that's why he was as big as he was. But I enjoyed that. I always enjoy Mark Strong as a bad guy or a good guy, really. I'm spoilers.
Yeah, he's a solid actor. Just everything he does, actually, he's really good. And to comment on Zachary Levi, I've been a huge fan of his actually for a really long time. So all my Chuck fans, if you watch Chuck, like Chuck, let us know in the comment section down below. Freaking love that show. I've loved Zachary Levi for a long time. Was super excited that he was cast as Shazam. Anyway, continue.
No, this is definitely a fun movie. I think when we've taken it from Aquaman and this movie, it's an encouraging sign and direction we're going, at least for my opinion, of the DECU. It does appear that they're not trying to make them connected anymore, and we'll see if that ends up being good or bad. You don't have to carry that baggage with you, but then, like I told you, I didn't stay for the post credits. The second one, rather, I stayed for the first one, mainly because there's no interweaving stakes, which is usually why you stay for the end post credits. You want to see what happens. You want to see Nick Fury come and talk about the Avengers and shit. So like that's for the MCU, they're very much tied together. So there's some weight to those post credit scenes as opposed to this one where they're mostly for fun. The first one, and I won't talk about it yet. The directors came out and said that he wasn't trying to set up a sequel. He's just like, it's fun, let's do this. So we don't even know if that's going to be the next one, the antagonist for the next one, right? Or there's definitely going to be a second one because it made a lot of money, which is encouraging. So we'll see if it goes. But I like this direction. I like having fun. I like laughing in these movies. As much as Snyder's version of the DECU, like where he started off and the direction it had, there's pros and cons to that. But it did start to kind of weigh on me the more I watch the movies, and it's an interesting. I like where it's going now. Is kind of what I'm saying. But as far as your rating, I don't think you reviewed it yet because you watched it today. So I don't know if you can give your review number yet because that would be spoilers for your review.
I don't think I'm going to do a review on it. I think I'm just going to do this one. I've got lots of video, I've got lots of stuff coming out, so it's just it would be one more that I'd have to pile on to what I already have. So this discussion is enough, I think.
Yes, it is, because we're going to talk about it a lot. I would say, is it worth watching? Yes, go watch it.
Absolutely.
I waited a week. I was bummed out because I didn't get to watch it in the Dolby Theater, but didn't matter. It was still a great movie to watch. Just a lot of fun. And
I watched it in 3D, regular 3D, and I probably, if I went and watched it again, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably just watch regular, maybe Dolby, but I don't like our seats in Dolby. They're really annoying because the legs don't fully extend. It's like a half. I actually think the chairs are broken half the time, but they're not. That's just the way they do it. So. But I'd probably go watch it like IMAX or regular. But I will say this: I still had a full theater today.
Yeah.
At 2:30 in the afternoon.
I really wanted to watch, and this is kind of talking about something else. I really wanted to watch Hellboy, but the amount that it's getting torn up by movie critics, I'm like, oof. And so my enthusiasm for today killed it, and then I didn't know when you were coming back to try and time my day out of when can I watch it. So I'm probably going to watch it still next week. But it's interesting that Shazam, everyone seemingly loved, and they're going to continue watching it. And then Hellboy, they can't fathom why it's doing so bad, or as far as critics' word of mouth. Because I just look at the cast, and I'm like, this is awesome. There's all these good actors. It has my weakness, Mila Jovovich. I'm gonna watch it, but it's tough for me to watch more than one movie in a weekend. Yeah. I know I do it for one movies I love when I watch them twice, but that's why I was gonna think about going today. I'll still probably watch it. I'm gonna watch it. With our A list, it doesn't cost me anything, so I'm gonna watch it. But that is interesting to hear that this movie is doing so well, and I'm glad that it is doing well.
I felt like I
But
was
yeah,
the only person to call. I say call it. Some people are gonna like it. I felt like I was the only person to say that the new Hellboy was gonna not be good. I like everyone was like, "Oh, it's gonna be. It looks so fun. It looks awesome." I'm like, "No, it looks terrible to me." And then when the first reviews came out, I was like, "Ah, I knew it. Wasn't
mhm.
that good." But it doesn't matter. Some people are gonna love it, and well, either irrelevant. Back to
Eh,
Shazam.
yeah. So go watch this movie. Am I gonna buy it when it comes out on Blu-ray? I'm leaning towards yes, but it's not like as immediate as other movies, right? That we talked about, right? So
Hmm.
maybe when it goes on sale, but it's definitely going in my wish list, and it's
Hmm.
going to update me when the price gets to like a decent enough price, or I'll walk by in Target and then buy it because that's how I work. But yeah, good movie, Shazam. I don't know if you want to go into your number review or just give it a final thoughts. We already both said you should go watch it. Any other thoughts before we kind of start rolling into this?
No, let's get into it. I haven't really, I got home like 2 hours ago, had dinner with the wife, and I haven't really like put much effort into deciding what I would grade the cinematography or the writing or whatever for a normal review. So I don't really have anything to say. I can tell you I thought the cinematography was fantastic. So
Mm-hmm.
if I had to score it right off the top of my head right now, I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
I could say that the acting for the adult versions of the kids was amazing because
Really? Okay.
the fact that you had to act as a kid
Oh, I
when you're an
understand.
adult,
Yes, I
yeah,
agree. Yes, okay, I agree with that. But I do have some comments about it that we'll get to at the end.
yeah, but that, yeah. Anyways, go watch it. Okay, let's start into the first act. One thing I want to highlight before we get too far into it is that there's an interesting article, and I think it's on Polygon.com, and I need to remember the title of it, but it was talking about the history of Captain Marvel, and because that's his original name,
Hmm.
Shazam, it's actually Captain Marvel. Uh, it was like in the 40s before Marvel was Marvel, and there was this weird copyright trademark war continuously going on right now, where DC bought Shazam from another company. He wasn't part of DC for the longest time. He wasn't hanging out with Supes. He wasn't hanging out with Bats. He was just off on his own doing his own thing. They bought him probably because I think they started reselling his comics and he got super popular. Whatever, business. They bought him, so they own the character. But Marvel trademarked Captain Marvel, the name, and they have to use that name. They have to publish comics with Captain Marvel as a title uh, continuously. Like I think it's that 5 year rule. Like if you haven't published something in 5 years, then the rights go back. So from that time, no matter how well or bad, poorly or good the sales for Captain Marvel have been in Marvel, they have to keep publishing it
If
so
they
they
want
don't
the
lose
name.
that trademark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this weird kind of thing, and it's also just interesting to think that we have two Captain Marvels with two Captain Marvel movies that came out this year.
Yeah.
It's a weird, awesome world that I'm thoroughly enjoying. But there was also a reboot of a Captain Marvel character because originally, whenever he transformed, it was a different person. So you had the boy, and then you had the hero, the champion, but they weren't. It was like a symbiotic kind of thing. Like he would go in the back, and then this version would be up
Okay.
front. It was they rebooted him to be what he is now, where the kid is just in an adult's body, and so that made it a lot more fun and cheery. And then it's just interesting to see Doofus Shazam hang out with Superman when he's all nerding out and just being a kid, and Superman's like Batman's just like
God, I hate you.
he's um, so I prefer this version. So I just want to kind of start off with that. Like that is definitely this version, and I think it leads to a lot of fun. And it's probably a shot in the arm that DCU needed to just be fun. Aquaman kind of did it, but Shazam's complete fun, right? Like he definitely takes that up. So let's start off. We start off Act One with the introduction to our bad guy, actually, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
We get introduced to kid version of Mark Strong's character. His name is Sanav. I need to look it up. I already had it open. Dr. Savannah. There we go.
Sinbad. No. Okay.
So, young, we learn later, young Dr. Savannah is being a kid, and he has an asshole brother and an asshole father. That is a quick summary of what this is building.
Basically.
It's they are really big jerks to him, and he gets visited, or he gets transported to this weird other realm where the wizard Shazam is trying to see if he's worthy of the power to be a champion, and he gets tested by this eyeball thing that's off in the corner. You make it a little more safer, but whatever, wizards. And he gets tempted by the 7 deadly sins, which is funny because I'm watching an anime called The 7 Deadly Sins, completely unrelated, besides the sins part. And they kind of sway him to grab the eyes so he can be powerful, because the wizard's offering powers, but they're like, we can give you more power. And anyways, he found out the wizard Shazam's like, you're not pure of heart, get the hell out of here. And so he shows back up in his car, he screams, they cause a wreck, Dad can't walk anymore. He deserved it, in my opinion, but we'll get to that later. And that's kind of how we start off. So he was not worthy. Then we get rolling, and we meet Billy Batson, BB, another alliteration for superhero characters. Billy Batson is a sly, mischievous kid. He convinces some cops that someone's stealing something in the pawn shop. He gets them trapped in there, and solely just to get to the computer, because he's looking for Batsons, right? He has a notebook, and we're like, okay, this is interesting. So this is the subplot of our main character. We kind of got the background of our antagonist. Now we're getting some background on our protagonist. We learn he's looking for his mom. I don't think the flashback happens yet, but I'm just going to say it anyways because I'm not trying to keep this all straight. We learn that he was at a carnival with his mom. His mom's horrible at throwing darts and only gets a compass, not the tiger he wanted, because she sucks. And he gets separated from her at the carnival, and she never tries to find him. And so this is stuck with Billy Batson for 14 years. I think he's basically 15 is what he said. And I remember watching this and I was like, damn, right? Like, wow. And he doesn't get it. But whenever he gets arrested for going to the one Batson's household, I think you're my mom. And then this African American lady opens the door. She's like, really? He's like, sorry for bothering you. And then the cops rolls up, and he's like, hey, he's like, hey, was my sandwich good? Because you stole it. Like, I forgot that bit.
He says, like, did you leave me any fries? Is what he says.
He steals his meal and then gets out. So he's been in trouble. I don't know if these cops definitely don't know who he is, right? Because they would have recognized him whenever he was at the pawn shop. But he gets sent to the child services lady. She's like, kid, your mom clearly didn't want you. You need to realize this. In my head, I was like, yeah, that's kind of my summation of the situation too. She clearly did not try to look for you.
Right.
You were trying way more than she is, apparently. So he's run away many times. He has this notebook full of names, and he's crossed off the last one. He gets shipped off to this family. And real quick, while I pause, I thought it was awesome. The family they introduced, and the troubles and the struggles of adoption of kids that are adopted, they're orphans. I like that in this a lot. And I like the family they introduced later, who are both orphans, who were raised in foster care, who become just a foster family, just bringing in everyone, like all the troubled people. And as dorky as their personalities are, the way that they're trying to be parents for these kids who just don't have any parents anymore was really awesome. Like, I like that part in this movie.
I think it's brilliant, actually. I'm quite the family guy myself, and I loved the hand thing in the middle before dinner. It was such a unique, families don't do stuff typically people either pray before dinner if they're any type of religious, or they just don't do anything at all. But the hands in kind of thing was actually really awesome. I actually thought it was really cool. I really did enjoy that part of the movie.
Yeah, and it's you come to realize that adoption must be awkward, at least for the beginning, right? Especially with the varying ages of kids that are in this household. You got one that's about to graduate, down to one that is in kindergarten, maybe first grade. I forgot. She didn't ever say her age, but she's very young. Bright, but very young. but they all know the game, right? They're all mixed races, they're all mixed ages, they all aren't family, but we're trying here, right? And it seems like most of these kids are cool, right? Like they have their own quirks, but they seem all right. And I just really loved it. Like I loved it throughout the rest of this movie that they never became too much of a side plot. In fact, later, spoilers, it became an awesome main plot. But I like that. I like this dynamic of this family, and I like. I wasn't adopted. I don't know the struggles, but I felt it here, right? Especially with Billy, and the stuff he was going through. But anyways, we can come back to the story. I think I'm just gonna go with the Billy stuff and we'll come back to Mark Strong's side plot. So Billy, he's like, you got this family, you've run away, or the not corrections agent, the child services lady. She's like, this family actually wants you. They know you've ran away from 80,000 homes, and they're the ones who are going to take you. And you already tell whenever you meet them that they're the ones who like take it as a challenge. Like, no, we're going to give this kid a home, right? Like, this is our job.
Yeah.
And so we get the introduction of all the kids. And first off, we open up to young, I forgot her name. I want to get these names right because there's a bunch of kids. Darla, young Darla, who is a hugger, immediately hugs Billy. We get the parents whose names are Rosa and Victor. Rosa and Victor. I'm gonna try and remember those. They seem pretty cool. They're like, hey, just try this out. So she's a hugger. The other kid's playing video games, just playing Call of Duty and cussing him out. And I identify because I was like, yep, there we go. Eugene, he's just playing video games, and then the dad, Victor, like takes his headphones off. He's like, I told you can't play after dark. And he's like, dark? When did that happen?
When did that happen?
And I've been there, and I'm like, yep, yeah, you get into it, man. We get introduced to Pedro, who doesn't talk very much. He's just kind of like, hey, you exist, and then keeps walking, and then she's like, the mom's like, Rosa's like, yeah, he's like that. We get introduced to the grad, or the person who's about to grad, Mary, who's about to graduate, and she's she's on a call for the interview for is it UCLA or is it USC? It's a California school.
No, Caltech.
Yeah, Caltech. They're in Philly, so that's why this is a big distance thing. And she's like, "Oh my God, they asked me a question. What should I do?" He's like, "Say you're an orphan. They eat that shit up." And she's like,
you're
"Oh,"
a
and
foster
then she
child,
just goes up, and she just does this answer and nails it. It's like
she's
you
like,
tell this
well,
dynamic.
as a foster child, the most important thing to me is that experiencing campus life will really generate a good family environment. You know what I mean? It's like she gives Victor a pound.
Nailed it. Like she was
like,
so
wow,
scared.
You really spun that.
Yeah. And that's those kids, and then we get introduced to Freddie, who's going to be our main foster kid that we get to know well. He is a kid who's handicapped, and he is our residential exposition superhero backstory guy, right? Like he's remember that guy in Scream, played by you know what I'm talking about though, right? The guy in Scream who knows all the rules to all the horror movies.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So that's this guy. Freddie is this guy, but superhero stuff.
Yeah.
Right. He's got the superhero memorabilia all over his wall. I totally identify with them. Can you see the back wall I have here?
I can't.
And
I'm just kidding.
And we could tell he's kind of a joker, because he plays a little bit of pranks on Billy. What was the first thing he said? He's like, it's a real Game of Thrones in this family, man. You might want to watch out. And he's like, well, I'm just kidding, man. He's like, I'm just a handicapped foster kid. I have everything in the world, right? Like, what am I complaining about?
Yeah, he makes a joke that one of the other kids pushes him out the window. He's like, it's a long fall. Trust me, I know. I was looking out the window. I think he blames Eugene for it or something. Like Eugene pushes me.
And we get this, we get the information. He shows them off the bullet that's been authenticized. Superman, that was crushed on his body, right? And he has a certificate or all this stuff. Like he's full superhero nerd. And we get the Batarang. So we've already established that Superman and Batman exist. So that's encouraging. It's just background information, but and so Billy's in this life, and we kind of go And then we have the dinner thing. They have the hands in thing. Billy's not about it. Billy's very much kind of like, you know,
Numero uno.
just about himself. He threw his notebook out in the trash, and we have their first day of school. And Freddy's trying to help Billy, right? Like he's being a good friend. He's trying to help him out, just kind of like giving the ropes. Darla hugs him, and he's like, "We're not brother and sister. You don't need to hug me." She gets real sad, and he's like, "Oh shit, I didn't mean to." Oh my god! And then Freddy's like, "I got it," and like he just, So they have their first day of school. They don't ever actually are in class in this, right? It's always in the hallways or cafeteria. That's it.
Yeah.
I love the school. That would be rad. So they go throughout their class, and nothing too important happens except that at the end of school, these two assholes in it's a Ford Raptor, but they get rid of the F and the R and just put Dood, D-O-O-D. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
But it's a Ford Raptor. Like, that's what it is. And they park, like, on the sidewalk. Like,
in the front of the school. First of all, they hit a handicapped kid. Like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. We have Dad and Brother Savannah, who are complete assholes, and we also have the two school bullies who are complete assholes that they run over a handicapped kid and then continue to bully him afterwards.
This is literally like a criminal offense.
And I guess the Raptor got dinged, and they're like, "You gonna pay for that kid?" And Freddy, with off the cuff,
pure genius.
Like, "Oh yeah, sure, I could pay it. Do you accept these?" And,
I thought it was funny.
And then
because he laughs too. There's like a pause second, and he starts laughing. It's actually pretty funny.
And the whole Foster family's watching. We got Eugene. I'm trying to remember all the names. Eugene, Pedro, Darla,
Mary.
They're all watching this happen. Which Mary should probably get on some things. These are just punk little kids, right? Like, and she's a senior, seemingly. Like, I feel like she could have some clout here. Does she have any friends? I feel like she had some football guy friends to just
Probably.
Be like, he's got dude's ass, but whatever. The school's weird. In fact, was Mary there? I can't even remember.
She was there. Mm-hmm.
What school is this? Like, how is this all grade school? What's going on? But the main point of the scene is to have Billy kind of like, I don't want to be a part of this. But then the minute the kids, it's kind of like the Marty McFly chicken moment, as they go to Freddy and say, "You don't even have a mom," or just make a comment about how he doesn't have a mom, and then Billy's like, "Nope, I'm coming back," and then grabs his cane and just beats that kid right in his face, just, and he gets some punches too. And what I thought was an interesting strategy. He established that now he has the aggro, if we can use a gaming term, fist bump Eugene, is that he gets the aggro from the bullies and then he runs off. And I was like, bold move, Billy. How do you know they're not just going to beat the shit out of Freddy because you left? But they chase after him. I was like, okay, it worked out. He runs away. He runs down some stuff. He does not too much parkour, but they're chasing after him. And he eventually finds himself in the subway, doors close immediately, and he's like, I made it. And then that's when we get that rest scene and scenes from the trailers. Boom, gets transported in the weird wizard world. I don't know if that has a name yet, from what I remember. But we get introduced to Shazam the Wizard, who previously has been looking for people pure of soul, but has found that is a very poor strategy because no one is pure of soul. Like, right. He's slowly realized that his insight, or his what's a good application website for job searching, his monster selection is way too small. Like his pool of pools.
Pure of heart. Oh well, that's just everyone's off the list now. Way to go.
Yeah. And so after the scene at the beginning of the movie, he's like, fuck it. Everyone, bring them all in here. Let's do this. Just roll in the interviews. So he beats Billy. He's totally about to die. He needs to transfer his powers. Otherwise, there's no wizard here to protect the world from the 7 deadly sins and other various weird magical stuff. And Billy's just kind of freaking out and like, oh, what's going on? All right. And he's kind of laughing about it, but taking it in stride, but still kind of a little bit scared. And Shazam kind of lays it out. He's like, hey, I'm giving you my heart. All my 7 siblings are dead. Or is it 7 total? All the empty chairs were my siblings, and they're all dead. You need to get this power. Hopefully you're pure of heart. Don't be a dick. I'm dying, but you need my powers. Grab my staff, say my name. And he's like, what's your name? He's like, Shazam. And he's like, just like slaps at it. Because it is kind of a silly name. But anyways, grabs the staff. Shazam. Boom. Big ass superhero. Right? We get Zachary Levi in full costume, just freaking out. Essentially, a 15-year-old kid is now in a 30-year-old man's body at peak physical condition. And the wizard's gone. He drops the staff, which I thought was like, would have kept that, personally.
Yeah, probably.
Seems important.
It seems powerful. I don't know.
And he's freaking out and then gets transported back to the subway, which is awesome because it's weird, right? So he has his clothes, transforms into Shazam. But the backpack stays there. Still have the kid's backpack.
I didn't catch that.
Why won't the backpack turn into awesome magic backpack? I feel like we could have gotten some awesome aesthetic gold straps. But no, it's kid's backpack. Gets woken up by a dude. He's like, dude, red and gold don't usually go together, but you're pulling it off right now. And like, everyone is just like, what the hell is this guy? So he runs away. Everyone's staring at him. And he ends up coming home, freaking out Freddy. He's like, oh, don't scream. And he screams because, of course. I love the bit because they assume that Billy's ran away, the family. And so they're all freaking out, trying to figure out where he is. We get a great scene of Freddy doing the dishes. He's like, yeah, I'd love to help search for Billy, but apparently I have to wash dishes. Apparently that's more important than finding my brother. Like, just like really hamming it up. And Sam's there. He's like, hey, it's me. And he's like, comes out. He's recorded, or he's got a cell phone on 911. He's like, Freddy's like, I'll call the cops immediately. He's like, no. I stole your bullet. I totally stole your bullet. And just drops it into the drain. Yeah. And really freaking out. But it essentially establishes like, no, this is Billy Batson, your foster brother, Freddy. Freddy freaks out like he normally would, super big superhero fan, when someone's like, oh, we have superhero abilities here now. And so he asks him, what's your superpowers? He's like, I don't know. Like, I just got this body. Yeah. He's like, well, can you fly? He's like, how do I even fly? And I think they don't start officially testing it out in the street. I can't remember if they start, because they have we have the montage, right, of them testing it out. I'm trying to remember whenever he fakes his invisibility, and then some dudes are just like, your costume sucks, bro. And
that happens that night.
Okay, yeah. So he's like, well, try and go invisible. So we see Levi clinch, because that's how you go invisible. Yeah. And he fakes, and he's like, oh, I can't see you, dude. Where'd you go? Some dudes just talk shit to him. He's like, I was just fucking with you. My bad.
I like that he starts like kick dancing. He's like, I'm invisible.
Levi's having a good time.
Yeah.
Levi's having a good time. So is Freddy. Also, pause. Freddy, the actor, was in It. He was Richie.
Yeah.
He did great movie.
Yes, he did.
This kid is a good actor.
He is.
He's a good actor. I'm excited to see where he goes. I don't know how old he is.
There's actually a lot of supporting actors these days that like are stars in their own right. Technically he would be a supporting actor, but I think he's flawless in the movie.
Yeah, it's more so than the actor who portrays Billy Batson, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Not that Billy has too much screen time because Levi takes over most of it, right? But Billy's still good, the actor who played Billy. But I still feel like Freddy, of the kid actors, Freddy was on top.
Yeah, he's got more charisma.
Definitely.
Like.
That's not to say Mary didn't have her own kind of chops bringing in, being the eldest of those kid actors, I imagine. But she doesn't have as much screen time, and she isn't as fun. She's cool though. Like, she takes all of the superhero stuff in stride later in the movie. But so we get to the point where they're testing some of the powers out, not too much, but they're just trying to test it out. But then Billy has a great idea. He's like, let's go get some beer. And so he walks into a gas station, superhero outfit. It's like, I'd like to purchase some adult beverages.
He says, I'd like to purchase your finest beer. Like, what? Is that a gas
Because that's how,
station?
yeah. And the best part is that the attendant doesn't have time for any of this. She's on her phone, looks up, and is just like that way, and does not care. Like, she is not about any of this. Of course, someone tries to rob the place because it's a superhero movie, and we get to learn that he's also bulletproof, not only in the chest but in the face, which
So
is great.
funny. It was perfectly written because I had those same questions myself. Sit in that exact same scene,
Yeah.
and and then Freddy's like, "Okay, we need to know if you're bulletproof or if it's just the suit."
He's like, "Oh yeah, shoot me in the face, shoot me in the face."
Yeah,
Guys
he
are like,
gives the
"All
gun
right."
back.
Yeah. And so we have a great scene from Zachary. He's just having a good time doing all this stuff, acting like a kid. It's amazing. And then he turns real quick and he's like, "You guys are dead," and just throws them out the window. And they leave with beer, having a good time. Sorry for breaking your windows, but thank you for not getting robbed.
Yeah, he said,
Welcome.
"You're welcome." Yeah.
Yeah. And they have the beer and they spit it out, which is just a great moment for kids because we have two 15 to 14-year-olds drinking beer for the first time. We were there. It's not great.
No.
Like, really don't understand. I don't know if it's like just your taste buds become shitty when you get older, or it's the fact that we purchase better beer. I don't think it is because I had the worst beer in college and I still got by. But like,
It's just an acquired taste. Like you just don't
yeah, I
like
guess.
it until you drink more of it.
But they go back in, just get a bunch of snacks instead. They did a bunch of Doritos, Skittles, beef jerky, having a good time. He's drinking a Red Bull. So they go home and they have a dilemma. The whole family thinks Billy's run away. The parents are freaking out, but they need to get upstairs. And so we have a great scene of I forgot who Victor was talking to, but he's trying to say everything is going to be okay. And in the background, we see Zachary Levi in full costume just crawling up the stairs,
He's talking to Rosa. It's Victor and Rosa.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's having a great emotional scene. He's like, "We're the lead family. We're not leaving him. We're not giving him up. We're going to be the first family that when he comes back, we're not sending them away. Like, that's the family we're going to be." And you just have Levi sneaking up the staircase, just ruining the moment. And I thought it was funny. So they go upstairs, but he's still Shazam. And they don't know what to do. They're like, "Hey, Freddy, are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then Shazam's like, "Me too." And they're like, "What the hell is that?"
He says good night. He says night, Freddy, and then Freddy says good night, and then Zachary says the night.
This grown-ass man says good night, and they're like, "What is that?" And they rush into Darla's room, and Darla's about to freak out because Zachary Levi's here. And Freddy's like, "No, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Oh, it's fine." And, "Oh, I'm Billy. I bet a wizard. He told me to say his name, Shazam." Boom, turns into Billy again. And Darla's just like, "Huh?" And of course, Darla turns out can't keep secrets, but they're trying to keep his identity secret because, as Freddy has established, once you have loved ones, they're your weakness. When you're a superhero, you need to keep yourself secret because he's there for that knowledge. So Darla has a secret, and it's funny when they're like, "Can you keep a secret?" And then she's like, "Eh," and then Freddy's like, "No."
She says moderately, and Freddy's like, "No."
So Billy is back. We go to. I'm trying to remember. They start skipping school to go do superhero things. I think the next scene, if we're sticking with Billy's track, is that he goes to school and they're about to walk out, but the security guard's like, "You can't leave. You need your parents to be here to pick you up." And he's like, "Oh, well, there's my parent over there." Turns the corner, Shazam! And then comes back with a trench coat. It's like, "Hey, I'm Dad, and the kid here and the kid over there that turned that corner I just ran by. You're the security guard the kids are all talking about, right?" Yeah, like just totally like trying to pass it off.
He gets a smile on his face, like, "Well, I really do try."
And he's like, "No, we talk about the other guy, not you."
Yeah, Freddy's like the other one. I thought that was brilliant.
So anyways, they get out. There's a fun antics, and they start doing their movie montage. And Freddy is posting videos of all the different various ways they're testing his powers and posting them to YouTube. And their followers are going up like I wish ours would. And just having a blast. And they don't even know what the name is. Everyone's talking about this dude in the red. He's just doing silly shit, charging people's phones. jumping in the air and falling, just like all of the things that you would imagine a kid would do to test powers are happening in this montage. And it's all funny. I can't do a lot of them justice, but it's a good montage. And he's toasting, getting selfies. He's doing stuff for money, apparently, because he's a kid and he just wants some money. And then we get some kind of, we go back to school, and Freddy's getting bullied by the two assholes again. I don't even care what their names are. They just come back to bully him again. He's like, "Oh yeah, well I'm afraid of that red tornado dude, that lightning fingers guy." Like
red cyclone. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's gonna come to lunch tomorrow, totally. And they're like, "All right, well if he doesn't, we'll kick your ass." And I'm like, "You just kick his ass now." Like I don't understand motivation.
Yeah, why is your math here? This makes no sense.
No, we're wait for you really embarrassed and then kick your ass, just to really ram it home. I digress. So this is where we get some tension because Billy Batson didn't agree with that. He's like, "Why the hell are you using me? Why? Like, what the hell? Like, I thought I wasn't supposed to know who you are so we could protect you." He's like, "Well, dude, just do this thing for me." And so we have a kind of like a rift here with friends, where one thinks the other one's being selfish with this new scenario, right? And it's just a quick kind of conflict that kind of ends the first act. Like that's the reason why it ends up happening. But anyways, Billy leaves school one day when the lunch is supposed to happen. He's like, "Dude, I'm gonna get out. I'm just gonna do some stuff." And he's like, "Well, come to lunch. Make sure you come to lunch." He doesn't come to lunch. Spoilers. And we find Billy shooting lightning into the air to the song. God, what's that song?
No, I can't remember.
Eye of the Tiger. It's Eye of the Tiger, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
From Rocky.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, to the just throwing lightning bolts in the air. Everyone's loving it. He has a guitar case from somewhere. I don't know what he doesn't even have a guitar, just a case that people put money in. Just doing a show, and one of his bolts hits a bus. Before that, though, Freddy confronts him. Turns out he gets a suitcase wedgie, which I didn't know what that was, because I guess our bullies in school weren't that inventive. It's where you get bent over and they pull your wedgie and then carry you like a suitcase. So he's confronting Billy, just flat out hashing things out. He's like, "You left me. They beat me up. It's all your fault. What the hell? You're not even a hero. You're doing stuff for money. This is not what heroes do." Just totally laying it into him. And then to make his point, well, Billy Bass is like, "Well, I'm just throwing lightning in the air." Shoots lightning in the air, hits a bus, and the bus is about to fall off. Gets electrocuted and turns off a overpass and is about to fall down. And we get our first hero moment for Shazam, one that he caused on accident, where the bus is falling down. He doesn't know what to do. He gets a mattress, and people are like, "That's it?" Like they're falling on the glass, very Jurassic Park, Lost World style, like hitting the glass and just hanging over there.
Yeah.
And
looks pretty good too.
Yeah, and the bus falls, and he catches it, and I was like, "All right." Regardless of how the bus lands, whether on the ground or from some unstoppable force man who stops it, it's going to have the same effect.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Depending on the distance that it was stopped, right? Like it's still like bad, unless there was some shock absorption by Shazam. Like that, I was just thinking that I was like, it's not going to matter. They're still going to die. Like,
yeah, I mean, actually, if you think about it, 6 feet is enough to break bones. So in-home inspections, which is what I do for a living, for those of you that don't know, a lot of code for fall hazards starts at 72 inches, which is 6 feet. Right. So anything over 6 feet essentially breaks bones. And the way gravity works, or is it inertia? I don't know, but it's per second per second. You know what I mean? So like a human falls at 1.3 feet per second. So it adds, it's a compounding effect.
Yep.
So
acceleration.
It's much more than 6 feet. Even if it was 25 feet, him stopping the bus, everyone in that bus still has to deal with 25 feet of a compounding fall.
Right. Unless, of course, he bent his knees. And I guess some drivers are like,
fair enough.
That's the only way I could kind of plot it out. Either way, whatever. Superhero movie.
Same thing when he drops it.
Yeah, they would have been fucked up too.
You know what I mean?
Unless you like totally like just kind of slowed it down and to where it just kind of. But yeah, he drops it. But everyone's alive. He's totally a superhero. Everyone forgets the fact that he's the reason this happened. Besides Freddy. Freddy was like, "This is your fault, you idiot." It gets interviewed. Everyone's happy, and this is where we get introduced to Mark Strong's character, who comes to confront him, and that is the end of the first act. But we're going to rewind and talk about Mark Strong's real quick. So, after being abused, never abused, maybe wasn't abused.
Emotionally, for sure.
Emotionally, definitely. His brother says, "Let's see if you're a man on this 8-ball." Spoilers, no. Like, and his dad, who allows this and laughs at him. Turns out he becomes a doctor. Pretty good for himself. He's doing research on people who have all been sent to Shazam World and asked if they're worthy. And turns out none of them are. And it's like a mass hysteria research. And he's there. We see him later, but it seems like initially like this is just a legitimate research thing that's happening, a phenomena that's happening across the world. But we get one lady who happened to record her event, and that's where Mark Strong's character, Dr. Sivana, steps out. I was like, "You have a recording?" And she's like, "Yeah, I can send it to you right now." The alarm clock shows the same symbols he saw in his magic 8-ball in the car. He puts 1 and 1 and 3 together, comes out with 18. I don't know what happens, but he writes the sequence onto the wall 7 times, 1 for each sin, maybe, I don't know, to use on a door that he had found that could do things. I don't know, maybe it's just a regular door. Anyway, he's done enough research over his lifetime, obsessed trying to get back to this Shazam dude, that this is the last straw. Write it 7 times, open the door, he walks out. And this is before Billy meets up with Shazam. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense. Calls out Shazam's like, "Hey, man, you thought I wasn't worthy. The hell, dude." And then he goes and grabs the eye. So he's been waiting 30, 40 years for this moment, totally doing his bad guy speech. He's like, "I've been waiting for this moment my whole life. You thought I wasn't good enough. My dad thought I wasn't good enough. My brother thought I wasn't good enough. Well, I'm good enough, damn it." And then grabs the eye. And then the 7 sins are like, "Oh, yeah, let's go." They turn into dust from the statues, and they go into his eye. Yeah, like the thing, it fills up the eye, and it just goes right into his eye. So he's got this awesome blue eye now with all of the seven deadly sins in it. And now he is a bad guy. Shazam, he tries to fight Shazam, but he kind of kicks his ass. Doesn't kill him for some reason. I don't know. Maybe he's got things to do. And then leaves the Shazam world. And we kind of don't catch back up with him until he goes after his parent, his father. Like, he goes into the boardroom. And I was like, "Oh, here we go." Because I thought the dad died, but apparently he just broke his legs. And so he's having his bad guy speech. He's like, "You never thought it was good enough." He, just talking trash. His dad's like, "You can't be here." And his brother's like, "Do you want me to kick your ass and get you out of here?" And I was like, here we go. Shit's about to get real. And so he kicks his fucking ass out of the window to death on the bottom. I was like,
yeah, he just throws him out the window.
And in my opinion, I was cheering for him in that moment. Good job. That kid, asshole as a kid, still an asshole as an adult. Like, I'm fine with him dying. And so he kicks him out. Everyone realizes this is real serious right now. And then he lets all of the six, actually, not 7. He lets 6 of the sins come out, and they're all weird monsters. And he's like, Father, what is the sin what's the sin you're guilty of? Greed. Because, like, immediately his dad's like, "I'll give you all the money in the world. Just don't kill me, don't kill me." He's like, "Greed, that's your sin." And so he's like, "Greed, kill him."
Yeah.
And so and he kills everyone else in that room. Which I don't know if I feel bad for those people or not, but I really wanted the dad to get it and the brother. So I was, in the end, I'm okay with what happened.
I really liked the scene. I was actually surprised at how well the graphics looked for it. Because kind of in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of like it's not an irrelevant scene, but it's certainly not at the top of the list of important scenes to spend CGI money on. But that whole scene is basically CGI, and I was actually quite impressed with it.
Yeah, the effect of the dust, the creatures being in a place where other people are, interacting with those people. They do some smart edits, right? Like we don't actually see them killing anyone really. We just kind of
Well, he
see.
bites that first guy's head off and then throws his body out the window. That's like the first part that happens in the boardroom.
Oh yeah, oh,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I
That was
mean,
fun. That's yeah. Everyone started like it was really serious. I forgot what dude. It was just a random dude who did that. Like I don't even
yeah, it
remember.
was.
Some other dude was like, "This is not good." Like, and then he gets his head off. But it was great seeing, and then this whole thing is the point is to establish our bad guy's character. What drove him? Like the fact that he felt he was inadequate, not only from his family but from this weird Shazam dude in a cave. You know, that's his motivation throughout his life.
Mm-hmm.
And now he has power, and now he can tell those people who thought he wasn't anything, but now he's something now. Kind of reminds me of those bullies at the school. We get another bully here, and he's getting some revenge. And honestly, some of these people deserve it, in my opinion. Just
For
how,
sure.
how I feel about it. But the seven deadly sins are like, hey man, you're powerful and stuff, but Shazam got a champion, and we need to get rid of him before he figures out what the hell's going on. And he's like, show me where he is. And so Shazam's having a good time coming back to the story. Just save the bus. Everyone's thinking he's cool. And then Mark Strong flies in. And then we get introduced to a bad guy. And he even says it. He's like, oh my God, you're a bad guy. Like, and that would be where you and I discussed is probably the end of the first act. This is the setup of the movie. And are you ready for a break? We're going to have a break.
I am. I actually need to charge my headphones. So 5 or 10 minutes.
3, 2, 1, and welcome back to the Luner's Cut. That was our first ever official break. Probably going to make it a thing because it'll help us out on the back end. Hopefully not lose audio. We'll see. Cross the fingers and arms and eyes. But anyways, my legs have been crossed perpetually. But anyways, so we're starting the second act in that big boss battle. And one thing I wanted to highlight, because I'm pretty sure I missed it, was a scene where the Foster family, mainly the children, find the book that Billy had thrown away with all the names crossed off. And this is probably after he ran away again and came home late, and they were yelling at him, and the kids were kind of like comforting him, like, hey man, we saw your notebook. Eugene found out where your real mom is. Eugene's like, well, I'm not a real hacker, but I played Watch Dogs 2, which so I fucking laughed. I laughed at because I love that game. I'm like, yes.
He's like, and I know how to. A few things. I'm not a genius.
But essentially, he had been looking in the wrong place. His mom, his birth mom, his dad's in prison in Florida because Florida, and his mom had went by her maiden name after he left. So he is like, hey, here's your real mom's address. And then he bolts and he wants to go find out, just go after his mom, right? And I forgot the moment, like he has this compass, right, that his mom gave him in the flashback. And it's like, so you always find your way or some bullshit. It's a dinky compass. But anyways, he runs off. The parents go after him, right? They're trying to find him. So he finally finds his mom's home. But large motivation of him from the very beginning of the movie, he's finally getting to his goal. He has found his mom. He is totally going to this is all he's been waiting for. This is going to be a great moment, right? It's totally going to be awesome. This is going to be exactly the exact kind of moment he wants. But I know when I was watching it, I was like, this woman's going to be horrible. This woman's going to be a horrible person. Right? Like she's just going to be like, dude, I didn't want to find you. But anyways, knocks on the door. Hey, I'm your son. See the compass? It's me. And she's like, oh, just let's come out here. Just hey, you grew up. You look good. You look like I made the right call not coming after you. You look like you're alive. I couldn't take care of you. I was 17, didn't know what the hell was going on. So it turns out she lost him, was actually looking for him initially, but then when she saw that he was with the cops and he had a blanket over his shoulder, she came to the conclusion that he was better off without her. And if there's one good thing I could say about this woman is that was probably the right call.
Probably. This is actually a pretty important moment, as light and fun as the movie is, they still have to set up his background as a character. And all superheroes have to have a dark background, right? They've got to have a motivational reason for why they're trying to do good in the world. This is pretty big, I think. And I really liked, because I actually had some issues early on in the movie, up until this point in the movie, where I'm like, it makes no sense that he couldn't find his mom. Because his memory of the thing at the circus was very happy. It was a happy memory. Turns out that's the wrong memory. Turns out it's actually, she wasn't happy, you know. And that, all of a sudden, it clicked for me, and I was like, okay, it makes sense that now they didn't find each other, because obviously she would want to find him, you know. But there's a reason why, because like the storytellers are like, you know, it seemed very happy. It seemed like they got along, and the mother loved her kid and whatever. But I will say there is a mistake here in the part of the movie that doesn't make sense. Her explanation is that she's 17 years old and couldn't take care of him and blah, 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 blah. But Eugene, who did his Watch Dogs 2 hacking tricks, explains that mom and dad got divorced when he was 3 years old.
Yep.
Okay, so like the maths, you know what I mean? Like ultimately he got lost either right around the time they got divorced, you know, or right before or right after.
I'm thinking that.
But if that's the case, then she would have been 14 or 15 years old when she had him. She would have had the kid for 3 years. It does happen, you're right. But she would have had the kid for 3 years already, which would have been some of the toughest times raising the child. Once the child's 3 years old, and I'm not saying it's not hard, I'm just saying that, you know, like you've done it 3 years, now you don't really have an excuse to not keep doing it, you know. So it's like
the kid can largely take care of himself. He lost the compass, he found it.
Very true.
He's good.
He's
good. He needs his own apartment now. That's all I'm saying. So, I agree it's a different, varying scene. I like the idea that our rose-colored glasses make our memories seem a lot happier than general, especially him and his motivations. If him trying to find his mom, he had a more positive spin on it. And when she had it, she was just very much just monotone, like, just trying to get this balloon. I'm not good. I'm not going pro here. Can get you the tiger. Here's a stupid compass. No, let's leave. And so she's very much like still having a shitty life. Would have been a bad parent. Would have been a bad living situation. And also she just didn't want to didn't want to care for him. And that's when Billy kind of realizes, I've been searching for the family that didn't want me. I've been overlooking the family that does want me. And so that's a big growth moment for him. He's like, well, I got to go home with my real mom and my real dad and my real family. Here's this compass. You need it more than I do. And in the theater after that moment, I was like, bitch. And I don't know if anyone in the theater appreciated it, but if you were there, you would have laughed. I was just like, bitch. And he leaves. Great moment for Billy. Also coming back, Shazam's doing his Shazam thing. Mary is crying and distraught, walking across the street. Shazam saves him. It's like, oh my God, Mary, you're okay? Oh, person, I know names. That's my power. I know people's names. I'm sorry.
That was funny.
Also, one of my powers is observation. That looks like a college acceptance letter. Did you get denied? Is that why you're crying? And it turns out Mary did get accepted, but she doesn't like the thought of leaving her family. And he's like, you should just go after number one. Get away from here. Go live your life. And so that was before the moment he kind of had his moment there. Sorry, I went chronologically out of order, but I wanted to highlight it because it's important later in the movie. So now we're starting the second act. There's a big fight. So clearly Dr. Savannah knows what he's doing. He knows the extent of his powers. Billy does not. He does some cool things. He does some kid things. Uppercuts him. He's like, ha ha ha. Hit you in the balls, didn't see that coming. Like, just kind of.
Oh, that was funny.
But Savannah definitely has the upper hand in this fight. They get thrown around in the buildings. We get to fight in a mall. Get a great scene where he's just like in a dressing room and he's like, I'm just gonna lay here for a bit, and then shuts the door. So I'm not gonna try and fully describe all these fight scenes in the second act. It's much better watching them. I can't describe them. So I'm gonna get some highlights. He learns that he can fly, but it's more like floating. He falls from a great height and he doesn't hit the ground. So it turns out he can fly. A great Mission Impossible moment. Like,
Yeah.
and he can float a little bit, he can fly a little bit, and he goes to Freddy. He's like, oh my God. Freddy's like, you can fly? He's like, yeah, but this guy's shit. He just gets tackled. And so Freddy's trying to go after him and see if he's okay. But what we've learned in this whole part of this fight is that Billy is way in over his head. And honestly, being a kid at 14 and also just getting these powers, understandable, right? Like,
Absolutely.
as awesome as Freddy is at the superhero business, probably didn't handle training that well. It was all testing. We needed to have some training. We needed to do some dry runs, but we just did tests, like the surprise fire flammability test, which I thought was pretty good.
Funny.
Where he lit the box on fire.
And then he comes back to the cutscene and he circles. He circles fire resistant.
Yeah. So they end up going into a mall, and Billy does a really cool thing and a really, really slick trick that he ends up learning to take advantage of quite often throughout the rest of the movie, is that he Shazams, and he's a kid again. He has his clothes. Magically, it's magic, right? Like, he went from magic superhero suit to whatever clothes he was wearing before. Is he always wearing a beanie in this movie? I feel like he's always wearing a beanie in this movie. Okay.
Yes.
So he becomes a kid, and Dr. Savannah doesn't know what the hell's going on. I think during their fight, they established that Billy is a kid, and he's like 15. Right? He's like, how old are you? And he's like, I'm 15. And he's like, that guy didn't think I was worthy. What makes you worthy? He's just all talking trash, and he's kind of just his whole vendetta, or his whole mantra is like, I'm not worthy. What makes you worthy? So he's real upset. So Billy runs away. Good call. Shazam's out of there. Freddy's looking for Billy. He's like, Billy, where are you? In the mall. And then Dr. Savannah looks at the camera, sees Freddy arguing with Shazam earlier in the day, sees Freddy right there. He's like, oh, I know a loved one of the superhero. Dastardly deeds are about to happen now. I got my plan. So Billy runs, I'm trying to remember where he ends up heading. That's right. He runs home. They yell at him. That's when he goes to see his mom. That's why he runs off. While he runs off, Dr. Savannah comes back with Freddy, and the parents went after him, right? So it's just the kids, and it's just Mary in charge of the house. I had this right. I thought I had it wrong, but I'm good. Savannah comes in. He's like, oh, I'm a bad guy. I got some hostages now. And the whole family is like, oh, crap. And during this time, they also kind of put the two and two together. And Mary's like, that Shazam guy called me Mary, knew my name. And Billy's been running away a lot. Conveniently, whenever all this stuff's happening, like, that's Billy, right?
And he really sees that the bickering between Billy and Freddy is the same as the bickering on the news between Freddy and Shazam.
Yeah, and they have that fight, like that conflict I mentioned earlier at the dinner table. Is like, well, I think if a superhero's friend was actually Freddy, wouldn't be using him to come to beat up bullies a bunch. Like, just like flat out, just like, and they're kind of like weirded out. But I like it in the sense that you figure in that moment that this is weird. If it was a real life, like, what the hell's going on? But they figured it out pretty quick, right? And everyone seems to be taking it in stride. But I love a great moment whenever they put it together, like Pedro, Eugene, Mary, they're all like, Billy is Shazam. Then Darla's like, oh, yes. You guys nailed it. You guys nailed it. I didn't even say anything. I'm a good sister. Awesome.
She just gave it away. Then, the question was just floated out there. She's just like, you got it. Oh, thank God. I'm a good sister.
Weight off shoulders. I can be free now. And then Dr. Savannah comes in, holds him hostage. He calls Billy from Freddy's phone. Billy's like, oh my God, Freddy, are you okay? And then, Dr. Savannah's like, come home. I forgot what he says, but it's real short. He's just like, we know the stakes here. We don't need a long, drawn-out explanation right now. I got your family. Come home. So he comes home. They're talking trash to Dr. Savannah. It's like, you're doing little bickering kids things. Billy lands outside. I don't know where the parents are at this point. I guess they're still looking for Billy. Makes sense. They're out of there, right? Like, I'm fine.
Yeah. Their whereabouts are unknown because they're irrelevant. They just needed the parents gone in the script, so it fits.
And it's fun. I'm totally okay with them still looking for a kid.
Yeah.
I guess Mary is very responsible. They left her alone with the kids for a long time.
Yeah.
She just got accepted to Caltech. She's fine. Shazam lands outside. You come out here. No, you come in here. No, you come in. It's just like a little standoff. And we find out Dr. Zavanna wants the powers of Shazam so he can become the ultimate magical being in this world, universe, galaxy thing. I don't know.
In this realm, there's 7
Yeah.
realms. This is one of them.
Mortal Kombat has realms too. I don't know what's going on here. So that's what we end up happening. So he throws some lines on the door over left. Apparently, any door can be a door, which makes sense, I guess. But he just writes
when you're magic, yeah.
The red door seemed to it seemed like he had that door for a while.
It was very fitting.
Right. It felt like that was a special door, but apparently it was just a door. Right. Like it's fine. Writes the writing on the wall. They go back to the realm of Shazam. Good word, realm. I'm using it for the rest of this podcast. So they're in Shazam realm. This is where the power has to transfer. Turns out that staff we said was important earlier in the movie. Spoilers, it was important because that's apparently the only way you can transfer Shazam powers. So he has the staff. He's like, grab the staff and say the name of the wizard. And he's like, give me those powers. And he was about to do it. Billy's kind of like, I don't think the hero speech it was before this point. I think it's after this conflict, right? Yeah, it was in the carnival.
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah. Anyway. So he's gonna do it, but then then the family, the siblings, come in with whatever weapons they have, and just throw. And they throw. Luckily, Freddy has his batarang and just launches that thing. And before that, some of the deadly sins are out, just like watching, just eating it up. Like, oh yeah, we're about to get this champion thing. We're gonna get champion. We got this dude about to be power on top of our game right now. And so they're kind of watching and spectating. And batarang hits Zavanna in the head, leaves a gash. Important point. Shazam notices it. Freddy notices it, but we don't see him notice it. But it's fine. He's Freddy, right? Like he's keenly aware. Zavanna turns around, sees all the kids with their super soakers and brooms, whatever they brought in.
One of them has a lamp. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But like Freddy calls it out later, or Billy, or someone calls out later. Did you grab a lamp?
That's all I had, man. So Zavanna's about to go ham. All the ghosts come back in. Wound heals. Shazam notices it, but he's a little too dumb to figure it out. Billy. We're gonna call him Billy. Screws Shazam. So he disposes of. That's right. I forgot how he does it. I think he Shazams under him. He disposes of him, but I forgot how. I think he like punches him. No, he stabs him with the batarang. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Stabs him with the batarang, throws him off.
Yeah.
So Zavanna is just out in the corner recovering. He's like, let's get the fuck out of here. And it's just like, do you have a lamp? What the hell? And he's like trying to get out. And they come to like this hallway of doors, which we haven't seen before at this point in Shazam realm. And they open a door, and it's like 3 alligators having a poker match, and then they like yell at the
what?
kid.
This makes no sense.
Shuts the door. He's like, not that door. And I'm like, I agree, not that door. And then just every door is bad. Like it just all bad stuff. It starts off like what, and then it's bad. And so like, how'd you get out here the first time? He's like, I don't fucking know. Like I just thought of the trade. He's like, well, think of something, and we'll go there. And earlier in the movie, I guess it's spoilers for this funny a little bit. One of the things on top of getting alcohol that Billy decided to do was go to a gentleman's club because he is clearly 30 and he loses all his money.
He comes out, he's like, hey, we need more money, man.
He's like, what? 5 minutes. Like, they're very convincing.
They're very convincing.
And so the only place he could think of was the same gentleman's club, and they teleport there. And it's so funny to hear Mary's covering Darla's eyes, and she's like, I can't believe the one place you thought of was the freaking strip club. He's like, what? That's all. We're safe, aren't we? Like, and they're like, where's Freddy?
He's like, you're welcome.
Yeah. Where's Freddy? And then Freddy comes out. He's like, nice to meet you, Chastity. Just see you later.
Yeah.
And like, so Freddy had like gotten along with some of the strippers there. But anyways, they're back. Zavanna teleports back because he has a way of doing that too. And when he teleports back, they see him and they end up running to the carnival, which seems like a decent idea to be like, you hide here. Like Shazam's like, you need to hide in this crowd of people. I'm trying to keep you safe, but I also have no idea what the hell I'm doing right now. And so Zavanna and he Shazams. That's how Savannah knows that they're at the carnival. Anytime he Shazams, by the way, lightning bolt from the sky. My bad, but it's very obvious that someone Shazams. I don't know what else everyone else is thinking whenever this happens. It broke the fuse at the house when he was doing the Christmas lights.
Yeah.
For that one time.
It was perfect. Was that you, Victor?
Nope.
I screwed in a bulb.
They're in parallel, not series. I have no idea what's going on right now.
Yeah.
So they run off to the carnival. He's off with his family, but Savannah's there, and I think he blasts the Ferris wheel where the two bullies are on. Screw those guys, right? Screw those guys. And so there comes that point in his hero moment. He's gotten his family safe relatively. He can keep running, which he's been mainly doing with this dude because he doesn't know what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And he has a big decision here. We can keep running, or I can fight. Because right now, Savannah clearly thinks they're at the carnival. If he leaves, he's probably going to start killing people. Like, he's already knocked that freaking Ferris wheel, really shocked it, right? Yeah. Like, it's not having a good day right now. And so Freddy's like, you can't go out there, man. He's going to kick your ass. We know, like, and he's like, you can't. He's like, well, if a hero can't save his family, what good is a hero? Like, that's kind of the sentiment. I forgot the exact quote. But essentially, he's like, if I can't protect my family, then I'm not a hero. And so he's Shazam. Yeah. He goes after Savannah. And the quick note, Freddy's like, hey, he gets his power from the seven sins. If they're out of his body, he's just a regular human. Got to get him out of there. And he's like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, he's like, okay, cool. And he runs off. And then the family get together to concoct the plan. Like, I got it. We'll throw more shit at Savannah because that's been working. Yeah. And we'll split off, and the sins will come after us, and we'll give Billy a chance. So they do that, and they're running off, getting chased. Freddy's not having a good day because he can't run. And they're running away. There's a Santa. There's a gag. It's fine. Like, I'm not going to highlight it, but the Santa's occasionally funny. They're running off. But Billy and Savannah are having their battle. And it's not going too well for Billy. There's one great scene when they're in the city where they're so far away from each other that Savannah starts having his evil guy speech. Yeah. And Billy's like, what? You're like 7 miles away. I can't hear you. But Savannah's still going. He's like, and I will take your head off and shove it down your throat. And then he's like, I can't. Fuck it. And just like hits him and they keep hitting. So I'm not going to try and describe these fight scenes, but like, you have the kids are running off with Seven Deadly Sins, trying to run away, having their own antics. There's a great scene with Shazam gets his ass kicked, and there's a girl in the balloon popper carnival station, and she's scared, and her dad's there, and he like gets a tiger, and he's like, hold on to this, just hold on to it, and you'll be safe. And I was like, that's a nice touch, because he couldn't get the tiger, and he gave it to her. He goes off. So he can't quite figure out a way to beat this dude. They're kind of at an impasse. He's doing a little bit better because he knows how to fly now, but it's kind of he's slowly losing this battle, on top of the fact that his family is in danger. Savannah had brought the staff back with him because that's what he needs to transfer the power. And then Billy has this great idea. He has a flashback where Shazam's like, I'm giving you my heart, but I forget, I can never pronounce the actor's name, but he's great. Yeah.
Dimansu?
Yeah, it's I'm just really dumb and can't pronounce it.
Yeah, Dijman Dimansu.
I'll go for it. His name's David. So he once said, he's like, the power of all my siblings. And then Billy's like, he looks at his siblings, he's like, I got an idea. And he grabs the staff, he's like, grab the staff. Or he says, all hands in. And they're like, what? And he's like, all hands in. And they're like, all right, say my name. And we get this like build up of music, and the music swells, and they're like, Billy. He's like, no, the name I switched to get to the thing where I am right now, because he can't say it because he'll be kidding. And this is a super tense moment. And they're like, oh, Shazam! And then the smoke hit, and I was like, are they about to do this? Is every one of these family members about to be a superhero right now? Because that would be amazing. And turns out, yes, every single one of them turns into a superhero. And the actor choices they chose, spot on.
Really? I actually didn't like it. It's one of my only complaints about the movie. I disagree with some of the adult actors who
Yeah,
they
Megan
chose.
as a young Darla, we get I forget the actor's name who became Freddy, but perfect. Like right when I
Adam
saw him, I was like,
Brody.
Freddy. I was like, that's Freddy. I didn't even
Yeah.
need him to talk. I was like, that's Freddy.
It's Adam
Uh,
Brody, who is actually hilarious. The guy is
yeah,
everything he does, he's super funny.
and he nailed it.
He
Like
did.
the key personality that we've learned so far in this film that you needed to hit were clearly Freddy and Darla because that's the most screen time we've had.
Yeah.
Those are the two they nailed. The rest of them, I don't recognize the actors, but I was fine with it.
Yeah.
But they didn't get much screen time, much like their counterparts.
So the only one I didn't like, I liked Adam Brody. I thought it was the perfect choice comedically. Adam
Is that
Brody.
his name? Is that his name?
Yeah, Freddy's. Yeah, Adam Brody.
What Brody am I thinking of?
Uh, what was your question? What movie?
What Brody am I thinking of? Because
Adrian.
I'm thinking, yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
My bad.
yeah. No, Adam Brody. He was pretty good. Interesting choice for a superhero because he is largely comedic based as an actor. I actually thought Megan Good was a bad casting choice for Darla, although I think she did well in her part. Like, in her dialogue as an adult child was spot on. But
Right.
Megan Good doesn't have the best history of good acting. She has lots of questionable roles where I'm like, and I'm not the one who believes this. She's got some roles where you're kind of like, probably should have recasted. So I'll leave it up in the air. I won't say that I think it was terrible, but she was the only one I was like, I didn't like that choice, and I don't even know who. I didn't know the other guy. Can't remember his name. The short guy that ends up saving the Ferris wheel. I don't even recognize him. And then, did you recognize Mary's adult actress?
No, I did not. I did not.
So you remember Hawaii Five-O? We used to watch it all the time.
Yeah.
You remember the main character's girlfriend that was like awesome, and she was like
Oh
in
shit!
the Navy. She was like in and out of the series.
That was her?
Yeah, it was her. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, she was dressed completely differently.
She was.
In my defense. Okay, cool. That was the one I thought was funny because I was like, she's already adult.
Right. So
But
who's she
she's
gonna
conditioned.
be? Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny. It felt like Mary. The difference wasn't that much as opposed to everyone else because we're kids. And so it turns out Darla's super fast. We get Pedro saving the Ferris wheel. We get Freddy. He can freaking walk and fly, and he's having a great time. It's like the wish fulfillment to the max, and he's having a good time. He's kind of scared, but also kind of talking trash. He's like, just want to let you know, this is my first bad guy fight. Just wanted to put that out there. And they keep fighting, and they save people.
This is a really big moment for me.
It's a really big moment for me. And they're all doing awesome things. Darla's saving people on the Ferris wheel. Pedro's trying to keep it up. We get a great scene from Eugene's character who does a Hadouken with his fighting glass. And that was so great. I was like, yes.
He's actually a good actor too, that kid.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched the series, but crap, what's it called? It's a Netflix series about that girl that commits suicide. 13 Reasons. Yes,
that's
it.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
okay.
he's one of the kids in it.
Yeah, okay. Wow. Did not recognize him.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he was in a buff Superman suit, so.
Yeah. Part of me thinks he's also in the Power Rangers movie, but I could be wrong about that. The Power Rangers movie that came out like 5 years ago, or a couple of years. I can't remember. Either way.
Yeah. We'll digress. So I'm having so much fun at this point. I had no idea this was coming, and the characters we learned to love are now being superhero and doing superhero stuff. It was great. I don't know if they're going to continue this through the rest of the movies, having to keep all these people around, but awesome. So each sin is tied up with a sibling, but that leaves one sin within Savannah. Envy. Very appropriate. He's like, and so they're still fighting. Shazam's still not winning, but he's doing better because all the other people are doing their thing. I love Savannah's face when he sees all the freaking Shazams. He's just like, what the hell? And By the way, Gluttony's design of like his stomach being his mouth was really cool. Like the Seven
Right.
Deadly Sin designs vary, but Gluttony was pretty clutch. I like the dude with the wings. He seemed pretty cool. I don't know what sin he was, but like you said, the CGI was great on these characters. Um,
Yeah,
so
Greed had 4 hands, which
yeah,
makes sense
grabbing
for takers.
right,
Yep.
right. Um, so we get a standoff on top of the roof where Billy shows a maturity well beyond his years, where he starts,
well beyond.
yeah, where he realizes the only one left is Envy. He apparently knows a really good way to hit Envy right in the heart and just start talking mad trash to Envy. he's like, oh, Envy's in there? Oh, Envy doesn't get out to play? It's probably because all the other ones are awesome and badass. Envy's not badass. He's just a small little kid. He's just like totally hitting it. And you see Envy trying to crawl out, just like, what, you talking trash, man? You talking trash to me? And he goads Envy out. So the last sin is left, Dr. Zavanna. He's pouncing on top of Shazam. Shazam's like, Billy. And Billy's like, I gotcha. Shazam. Oof, lightning right into the thing. Doesn't kill him, but disperses him. Gives him enough time to get out of there. Shazam's back again. And we have Zavanna, who is completely human with the one bad eye. And
he's falling. Shazam saves him, actually.
Yeah, Shazam saves him. Another hero moment, right? He could have just let him die and done. Let's go home. But no, he's like, I'm a hero now. I can't do that. Like, and natural inclination. There's no debate, right? Like he just went and grabbed him. So, in a weird, interesting moment, where like he's got the upper hand, he then flies Zavanna back to where all his friends are, and I can't remember if they're getting their ass kicked. Pedro's still trying to hold the Ferris wheel up. That was great. Yeah, he's like, I got this. Like he did surprised.
I really do have this.
But they're not. I mean, it's all brand new to them right at this point, right? Like, so they're getting their ass kicked by these Seven Deadly Sins. They're holding their own, but it's the tide of the battle's turning towards bad. Shazam shows up, and then decides to rip the eye out. And I was like, initially, now I'm talking it out. It makes sense to me. Initially, I was like, why didn't you just do it from the beginning? But Envy was a little too close, and Envy knew he fucked up, and he probably would have hopped back in and give power back to Zavanna. So, okay, I'm fine with it now. Initially, I was like, why didn't you just do it like then? Like,
yeah.
But it looks a lot cooler when you're with your friends and you just like rip the eye out. And so he's like, ah, and just rips that eye out. And all the sins go into it, and we get this great banter wherever we're like, it's just a bunch of kids that just won, right? Savannah's on the floor. He's like, I got it. And it's like, and Billy's like, oh, what? Oh, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah. And then he starts bringing it to his eyes. He
says, you'll give me anything that I want?
Yeah. And all the hero kids are freaking out, like, no, Billy, don't fall for it. He's like, I got you guys. Yeah. And I was like, yes, this movie's awesome. It's so much fun. And they're all like, ha ha ha, you jerk. And they get mad at him. So this kind of ends the second act. The fight's over. Billy won. And we'll go ahead. Do you have any parting thoughts on the second or first act that I didn't let you express?
No. I do think the second act ends a little bit sooner. But no, I think you nailed everything. What was I going to say? I did like the part where he decides to step up and take, right after he gives I think his exact words are, if a hero can't save his family, then he isn't really a hero. And then he turns into Shazam, and he kneels before Sivan and tricks him, basically. And that's how he gets the staff. And then once he Shazams them, he actually breaks the staff. And then that's when he ends up in his fight with Sivan, wherever. Which was cool. But yeah, I mean, I don't, no, I think we covered everything. I mean, It's mostly just a fight scene, right? Second act is basically just fighting.
A fun fight scene, but it's really hard to describe.
Yeah, and I do think Billy has lots of character growth in it, because ultimately you know that Shazam is Billy, and what Shazam learns, Billy is also learning. You know what I mean? Like they're one and the same. So I do think
Yeah.
there's lots of growth there for his character. Um, yeah, no, I think it's good. Act 3.
All right. Act 3. Let's go.
Very
They
short.
just won. They have a crazy eyeball in their hands, and the crowd starts cheering, and they're all like, "Whoa, wow, oh, we're all superheroes," and they're eating it up. They're having a great time. Uh, Saban, I don't think we get him. Do we see him get taken into police custody?
Mm-mm.
We know we end up finding out he's in jail, but
He's basically
that's
just defeated,
done. His
quote unquote
health
defeated.
points 0,
Yeah.
as Eugene would say. Um, so we get a quick wrap up. It's really quick, where they go back to the Shazam realm. They put the eyeball back in the pedestal that it's at. The seven deadly sins go back to statue form, and it's a great joke that I forgot to mention. Whenever Billy and Freddy are at a realtor's agent to try and buy a lair.
Yes. That is so funny.
And the real estate
They're
agent's
such
just like,
idiots.
just so dumb. He's like, we want a lair. Well, how many bedrooms? And then Billy's like, 1. And then Freddy's like, 7. He's like, oh, do we really need 7? Like, so try to go to a real estate agent to buy a lair, preferably by a waterfall. Maybe on the waterfront, by the water. And we get a great callback to that joke here, because whenever they put the thing down, they've won, they're victorious. All the superhero versions of the kids, they see all the seats, and then Billy's like, oh, dude, we have a lair. And then Freddy's like, oh my god, we have a lair. And so now we got the Shazam lair. They're having fun. We get a scene back with them back at home. We get a great scene of Billy starting off the hands in the middle. Victor and Rose are happy. I guess he came back and they're okay now. Like, the parents coming after him. They're happy now. They're having dinner. And that is kind of it. The third act's real quick. It's a real quick resolution. I don't think anything else major happened besides like newscasts of saying Shazam's are heroes. They're all awesome. The family's having a good time. I don't know if Mary goes to college.
Yeah, it certainly would appear that she doesn't.
There's great colleges in Philly.
So I hear.
They can have a good time there.
I've never been.
And so that kind of ends our film. We do get a great scene at the end where Freddy's back at school. Not a superhero Freddy, just regular Freddy. He still has fresh from the as awesome as this fight and awesome the superheroing he just had. He's still fresh off the embarrassment of Shazam not showing up to the lunch, and everyone doesn't want to sit with him. Like just stereotypical high school. It's real funny when he walks around the lunchroom where everyone's getting this dirty look. I'm like, God.
Yeah.
No one would care.
Right.
That's not. This is way too
So
focused
wrong.
on it. Yeah. And he sits down at the table. They all leave, and we get a great scene where all the rest of the kids in the foster family, Eugene, Pedro, Mary, Darla, all sit with him, and because he was alone, but now he's not. And he's like, I thought you guys have different lunch periods. He's like, oh well, we arranged. We got something cool coming up, and I still don't know if Mary, I don't know what school this is, right? Mary is a freaking senior, and she's with all these young kids. I don't know. Maybe she has off-campus lunch. Who fucking knows? Whatever. They're like, well, it's a special occasion. And then we hear Shazam walk out the corner. He's like, what's up, everybody? Oh, is that my best friend, Freddy? Did I mention we're best friends? And like just totally hamming it up for Freddy to be like, I'm making it up for you, buddy. I'm sorry I missed out. He's having lunch with them. All the kids are like, oh my God, it's Shazam. And totally giving Freddy. Freddy's having a great time. He's like, yeah, man, just hanging out with my best bud Freddy here, and these other friends, people who I don't know, who are probably good people. I don't know what's going on. And he's like, I also brought another friend. And they're like, what? And he's like, and then we see the Mantle, the Superman, walk out with his freaking lunch tray, his milk and his square pizza, and probably hash browns. And but we don't see his head, right? It's all from neck down, which is fine. Like it doesn't matter. Like it would have been great to get Henry Cavill to be there, but who knows if he's going to keep being Superman? You know what I mean? Like it's all up in the air. This is fine. I will say that his six-pack is much more defined in this suit. It's interesting. I mean, the suit looked great in the other movies, but there was no defined.
He looked a little thin to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Henry gets big.
Right, Henry's big.
I've told you before, but when I see him without his shirt off, I'm like, he seems uncomfortable. like he's not a tall man. Ben Affleck is a tall man. When Ben Affleck has a large frame, when Ben Affleck puts on poundage, it looks fine, right? He's a big dude. You recognize it, but he looks fine. Chris Hemsworth, big frame, long frame, puts weight on, looks natural. Henry Cavill, he looks really uncomfortable.
He looks really big. Yeah, the first Superman, his shoulders alone were like bigger than my head.
Like he was like trying to grab the clothes from the clothesline. I'm like, can you even get your hands that close together? Like with your chest? Like what are we doing? Anyways, we get a great scene. Freddy's like, and then it ends. Right? We get a great post credit roll of just like the cartoon animation of all the superheroes doing superhero things.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. Then we roll into the post credit scene, the mid credits rather. Dr. Sivana's in jail. It looks maybe like an insane asylum. He keeps writing symbols. There's no door in this place, right? It's padded room, so maybe that's why it's not working. Maybe he's broken, can't remember the exact symbols. We do know well over 7 times. He's written it all over the wall, so I think he's kind of screwed. He just keeps screwing himself, but he's kind of insane. He's lost all his power. Then we get introduced to a character who I don't know. I had to look up about him. But did you see this character whenever we first get into the Shazam realm? The very first time we're introduced there.
Was he there?
Yeah, he was there. He was just off in the little jar, off in the corner. And you see him real quick. It's real quick. And the only reason I thought about it was I was like, are they trying to be metaphorical here? Because it's kind of like, what I see a caterpillar. I think immediately my mind goes to Alice in Wonderland. And so then I'm like, is this the metaphor they're trying to go for? He's down the rabbit hole right now. But I was like, that's a weird thing to go from Alice in Wonderland to go straight to the caterpillar. That's like having the Queen of Hearts in the corner and be like, Alice in Wonderland. You're like, what? So that's why I recognized. I was like, oh, it's caterpillars. And so when I saw the caterpillar, I wasn't surprised. Were you?
I was actually. I was legitimately, when I heard the voice, I was legitimately looking like, where's the voice coming from? We're like, I'm with you, Mark Strong. Where's this coming from?
From the goddamn caterpillar with a modulator on his belly.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, go ahead.
That is a comic book villain of Shazam. Dark Mind, I think, is what it is a character. I forgot the name, but that is an actual bad guy character for Shazam. We can talk and sit here, and I can list off many other weirder villains that appear in comic books, and I love the fact they're like, fuck it in the bucket. Let's just put him there. You know, like
just bring the caterpillar in.
Just bring in the caterpillar bad guy. There's many other bad guys we can go with, but let's just do it for fun. And they mentioned that in the interviews afterwards. They were like, we're not trying to set up a sequel per se, but they're like, let's have some fun and just throw him in there. And he has that character. I blanked on his name. It's like Dark Mind or Dark Hive or something. Like, it is a character. We can look it up afterwards. Right when we stop recording, I'm gonna remember it. But it is tied to the Dr. Sivana bad guy character in the comics. So this is like a natural, like, it just makes sense within the canon and mythology of the Shazam comics. So there we go. We get our first setup for a bad guy for Shazam, and I'm for it. Let's do it. Let's have a bad guy caterpillar. And the main message the bad guy caterpillar has is like, Sivana, you think the only way to get magic is from a magical staff in the realm full of doors and long white-haired people and chairs and sins. No, there's other ways to get magic, bro. How do you think I got this speaker on my chest? Right? I have no opposable thumb, let alone my arms are really tiny. Magic. That's all I'm saying. And then Strong's all about it. Sivana's like, yes, let's team up. Bad guy team up. I don't care that you're a caterpillar. It's a window of my cell. Let's go do this. So that's that post-credit scene. The final post-credit scene, I didn't actually stay for because when I read what it was, I was like, yeah, I don't need to watch it. But it's probably funny. And it's a cut. It was a cut scene from the montage of all the power testing, where they were trying to figure out if he could talk to fish like Aquaman.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a shot at Aquaman a little bit. Like that's his power. Like you can talk to fish. Whoop de doo. Like that's kind of what that scene was. I would have stayed, but I needed DCD to saving, right? You know, I have to compromise, and I left, so I didn't see that.
I
Did you watch
stayed.
it?
I watched it.
You
Yeah.
did?
Hmm.
Okay. So did I sum it up pretty good?
Yeah.
You know, I didn't watch
Yeah. I mean, Levi's just holding up this goldfish, in a jar, and he's trying to talk to it, and then he says something that doesn't do anything, but he's like, "I'm sorry, you're in there all alone, little buddy. We need to get you
it.
somebody." And then he kind of sets it aside, and he's like, "What am I doing?" And then Freddy's like, he says something about, like you could call, like, you could speak to fish or speak to the legion of them, and he's like, Shazam's like, "What good would that do?" And it turns out Freddy's wearing an Aquaman shirt.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hello." He's like,
Did you not
"Oh,
hear the stuff he did?
yeah." He's like, "Oh, that's not really that cool, though."
Did you not hear the time he threw Manta off the walls of Greece and Manta proceeded to hit every single rock on the way down? He did that.
Yeah.
He did it. Yeah, so that's the movie. I hope we kind of discussed it. Is there any other talking points? Like I said, I like the family. I like the foster and the adoption, the angle of the family. The family's really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
One of my favorite parts of the whole movie actually is the dynamic
Yeah.
between the mother, the father, all the kids. They did good. Good job casting all those roles.
Right. And I didn't know that this weird hero family was what I needed just to cheer me up, like to give me like a better day. I had no idea it was coming. Like I said, I waited a week to watch it just because I was on vacation. Didn't get it spoiled for me, which is great. It would have been a bummer if I had, because I had no idea that was coming. Zach Levi, awesome, nailed it.
Very good.
He very much is this role. He's having way too much fun, and you can see it on screen. He's just he encapsulates being a kid who is now a superhero perfectly. Freddy's character I love. I hope they keep him up. I do hope they keep the superhero family there. It might be tough for a sequel, right? Like you have 6 superheroes of the same power and abilities. What can face that, right? Like what can't overcome that much power?
Agreed.
And I like that the stakes are relatively low. Sometimes in these superhero movies, sometimes these fantasy tales, the stake is always the world's going to end. In this case, we can presume the world would have ended once Savannah got all the powers, but like he didn't have a grand plan, right? Like
Right.
it was very much a localized problem, and I like that. I think the Captain Marvel, you didn't like that about that movie, how it was kind of the stakes weren't as high as they could have been. But it just seems like for me, I like the refreshing change of lower stakes, because when we have the world's all ending, the world's constantly ending, it kind of runs into like Men in Black territory where the world's always ending. Jay,
Yeah.
like yeah, like every time it just happens all the time, man. Like it kind of wears on me. So I like lower stakes occasionally in my superhero viewing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's
I don't know, do you have any
this
other
movie's
thoughts?
very local in the sense that a lot of we'll just call them big ideas, they're simple. It's actually a simple script. It's actually not complex. The dialogue's actually not complex. There's lots of, they just come out and say stuff, and they just come out and give something to you, and half the time they make fun of it as a superhero trope or as a hero movie trope. You know what I mean? Like it's just, here you go. Like the whole point was to have fun. The whole point was not to, set some future intergalactic challenge, up where Thanos is ruling the universe kind of thing. You know what I mean? This is a very change of pace, very good change of pace, very good, the whole concept really is quite different, I think. I haven't watched like the Tick series on Amazon, but I imagine that is very similar to something like this. But this was done very well, I thought. I don't have much. One of the other cool things I liked, I guess, was the scenes that were in the trailer. I still liked them in the movie.
Right.
It's a pretty uncommon thing if I see a scene in the trailer, then the way it plays in the movie is important, and how well it does in the movie is important because people have watched it 10 times, 20 times now. And in this movie, it was still pretty good. So just because you
Yeah.
saw it in the trailer, if you haven't seen the movie yet, just because you saw it in the trailer, those scenes are still enjoyable in the movie itself,
Yep.
which I like. So
Yeah.
I don't have many complaints
Trailers.
about the movie.
Trailers is a tough business. I think I like Marvel's take where they're just like, you know what, we're gonna put scenes in the trailer that aren't even in the movie.
Yeah.
Still give you hype as hell, and it's like not even in the movie. I was like, yeah, cool. I think it's spoiled. Or we can go Terminator 2 route and just completely ruin the big surprise in the trailer.
Did T2 do that?
Yes.
I don't remember. I don't even remember
Again.
the T2 trailer, so
Again,
we were kids.
we're gonna go off on a tangent right now, but that's what we're all about. I, as a mature, wanting to be mature / not really mature adult, enjoy Terminator the original more than T2. I think I enjoy it more.
Yeah.
Not trying to say it's a better film, not trying to say it's a better movie, but there's just something about the 80s. There's something about Arnold Schwarzenegger being a bad guy. There's the reason why I want The Rock to be a bad guy more, because I think he can freaking nail it, but they just won't let him be one. Whatever, man. Making money, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just saying it would be really rad if you're a bad guy.
Yeah. He'll start doing them as his, as his career kind of.
Well, he's going to be Black Adam, which is the anti-hero protagonist, antagonist to Shazam. So
I also hear, just in regular Hollywood type stuff, as an actor becomes more seasoned, they do more bad guy roles because they tend to be more fun for the actor to play. And they've already done all the superheroes. They've already been the savior 100 times. They've already been, the good person 100 times.
Well, I think back to the movie Doom, which I enjoyed quite a bit, where he was the bad guy in that movie.
Yeah.
And he was awesome as the bad guy in that movie. And I think that movie is a lot of fun. Most people don't like it, but I was like, this is a fun movie. I just really like The Rock. It has two things going for it. Rock is a bad guy, Carl Urban, and I'm already liking it.
Yeah, I love Carl Urban in it. Reaper.
So,
Semper Fi. Faithful to the core.
Exactly. So, I forgot where I was going off on that tangent. Oh yeah. So Terminator 2. So if you watch Terminator 1, Arnold Schwarzenegger is the bad guy. He murders so many people in that first movie.
Yeah.
And the beginning of that movie sets it up so well. T2, the whole time, you got the clean-shaven Richard, I forgot his name, but he's the T-1000. Great actor. Robert Patrick? Robert Patrick. I believe his name.
In T2, he's the T-1000.
Yeah. Clean-shaven. He's a cop. He's probably the good guy. We got the Terminator again. We already know Arnold Schwarzenegger is a bad guy. We get to that hallway scene where they're both aiming at John Connor. You're like, Terminator's about to go. But then you see Terminator's like, get down! And then just takes all the shots. And you're like, oh my God, he's the good guy? And like, awesome twist. But in the trailer for the movie, T2, they ruin that twist. They tell you that Arnold Schwarzenegger is the good guy. Now, I didn't watch Genesis, mainly because they did the same damn thing. Did you watch it?
I did.
Okay. They ruined John Connor as a Terminator in the trailers of that movie. And I was like, that would have been great in the movie.
Yeah.
If I just watched it, that would have been a good twist. I would have enjoyed that quite a bit. I haven't watched it, don't know if it's good or not. I will eventually watch it, but that turned me off, and this is before A-List, where I could just watch a movie and not pay for it.
Right.
I was like, I don't want to pay $20 to watch a movie where the twist is already ruined in the trailer.
Yeah.
And I just got bummed out. Can't believe they did it again. But, yes, this had a good trailer. Yeah, this was just good. It was a lot of fun. Like you said, it was a smaller scale. It didn't have the baggage of all the GCU trying to set up things that the Marvel kind of universe is doing.
I like that idea. Right? I think that's a great idea. I am perfectly okay with this was like one man story, but it ended up being like one family story too. You know what I mean? It's like you didn't have to have 7 superheroes make the movie. You know what I mean? I like the idea. I thought it was good.
No, it's good. It's good to have the dynamics between what the two different companies are doing. Like MCU is always tied together. It's always going to be. We'll see what they do after Endgame, right? Like we don't know what the hell is going to happen after that. Is it going to be just as tied together, or are they going to go more splinter off? But it is nice that DCU isn't trying to mimic something. They're doing their own thing now, and I think they're reaping the benefits from that, right? Like, these last two movies I think are very good. In a very good direction. I want to keep watching these. It's not like Batman v Superman and Justice League where I'm just like, oh my god, there's just so much. Where I call you afterwards and just be like, I can't believe what I just saw. Like,
yeah.
I did that for both of them. Or no, I did that for Batman v Superman. I didn't even watch Justice League in theaters because I was like, no,
Me neither.
no, and I'm glad I didn't. But I would encourage you to watch that movie just to witness what happened. But I will say, Superman, at the end of that movie, his personality and where he is as a person, as a superhero, they finally got it right.
Yeah.
It took them 3 movies to finally get a Superman who actually likes being Superman, who likes to have some fun, and is not a depressed, mopey jerk. And I was like, well, you did it, and I don't know what's happening now, because that movie did not sell well. It still made $600 million, but comparatively to other superhero movies, that's not good. Right? You have what is the equivalent of your Avengers for DC, and it can't even break a bill. And Marvel's over here dropping movies, they're breaking bills all day, right? It's not a good look. So I don't know if we're ever going to get a Justice League movie again, which is a bummer.
I'm actually a bigger fan. I like the one individual stories. I hate going to the movies when they tie all the stories. Like, it's okay to tie a couple together, but I think when you start intertwining, like, how many movies have you just watched in preparation of Avengers Endgame? 26 or something like that? It's like insane. You know, I'm just like, maybe good, you know, well done, talented writers, people, filmmakers, whatever. But watching the movie, for me personally, it ruins the experience because I spend more time trying to understand where stuff comes from and who it belongs to and why it's here or what's missing or what should be here that isn't here. And I just want to enjoy the story. And I can do that if it's a localized central story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't do it if it's this whole freaking universe I can't keep up with to begin with.
I think Marvel does a good job until they got to Infinity War. That movie was not friendly to people who don't remember things.
The 18 movies before it, yeah.
Right. But you can watch Guardians and not having to know anything about most of the other movies. You can watch Winter Soldier and just appreciate that this is a spy movie that was thrust into a superhero movie. They do a pretty good job, but there always are threads tying into the overall story that are there. And you can argue the writers are hindered by it, or they show off their creativity of how they spin the story to tie together. But Infinity War is not. Like, that movie does not have time to explain anything to you. And Endgame's probably going to be 3 hours of no time for you to sit down or explain it. And I'm all for it. This is like, we've been building for this for freaking 20 movies. I'm all in. I'm dehydrating myself. I am.
So you don't have to go to the bathroom?
Yes, because Kevin Feige came out and said there's no time to go to the bathroom in this movie. This is 3 hours of you need to be here. And I was like, I was going to do that anyways. And you're right. This is refreshing, and that's why I like the competition. I like that competition creates creativity. That we have one thing that's super connected, one that's not so connected. I kind of get it. If DCU wants to be connected, fine, but do it because you want to do it, and that's your vision, and that's where you want to go, not because you're trying to copy something.
Agreed.
Not that you're trying to bust a Justice League out 2 movies in while Marvel took its time building characters separately to then tie them together to get into a movie. They didn't try something like Infinity War, you know, a year or 2 after they dropped the movie. It was like 10, 15 years in the making. Forget the exact dates, right? Like, they built this. They have a solid foundation that they can have a movie with probably the worst movie trailers of all time from a film industry standpoint, because they don't tell you shit unless you know what's going on.
Right.
All you see is Cap crying and Black Widow's like really sad, and you're like, if you know what's going on, then you're all in and hyped. But if you just had showed that to someone who had no idea what's going on, they don't want to see that movie. They're really bad trailers from that perspective. For me, they're amazing. But like for anyone else, it's just a weird thing. But it is refreshing to have a movie like Shazam, where, like you said, it's very local, no ties. We get the Superman nod, we get the Batman nods. They're cool, but it's not weighing on the film. It lets the film be itself. And I agree that is it is refreshing to see, and I do enjoy it. Maybe the music should start playing right now before I ramble off and talk some other things. I think we're wrapping this up. I think, what time are we at? An hour 46. Not bad. Not bad. I mean, we had that break and the time and stuff. It's taking longer, but
are we at 146? Oh, okay. I'm at 2 hours according to my recording.
Yeah. Well, I stopped the timer whenever we started talking, and then stopped on the break and did all that kind of shit. So I think when we put it together, when you cut the movie together, it'd be about 146.
Cool.
145, which is fine. I like that a lot.
Perfect.
All right. So wrapping it up, thank you, movie watchers, again. Sorry about taking the week off, but we got to do our own personal lives and stuff.
2 weeks. She said we actually took 2 weeks off.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I did knock out 2 podcasts though, real quick. We're slowly starting to get our rhythm together. I think what we're normally going to do now is record on a Sunday. Travis will do his best to post it as soon as possible. Are you going to try and post it on the same day, or are you going to put it like a Wednesday?
This one I'm going to post ASAP because we're late and we're behind. But once we get back on the normal schedule, I will start posting on probably Tuesday, or probably Tuesdays actually.
So the schedule we're normally running is film with Sunday, post Tuesday, podcast will come out the following Sunday. Is kind of how we're going to do our flow. I think we're building the necessary foundation to get that going. I'm feeling pretty comfortable about it. Like I told Travis, I do my best work editing on Sunday morning with coffee.
Yeah.
I knocked out 2 podcasts in like an hour and a half.
And save
so I
DC.
think that's and save DC, which we're probably going to do here in a little bit. But yeah, thank you, movie watchers. Hopefully you're enjoying yourselves. I heard some feedback for the Us episode. It was our best yet, and I do think we had a good thing going on Us. I think it's progressed to this as well. Like, I think we're finding our rhythm. And I'm glad you guys are with us for this ride. I'm glad you are enjoying yourselves and joining us on the conversation, and what is and probably was started as a tool to get 2 good friends to keep talking, to have a creative endeavor that also was keeping you in touch and enjoying yourselves, which is also why we try to save DC. That's friendship right there. It's what
Okay, saving DC is code for we played Division, just so you guys know. This is the second one, yeah, but whatever.
We gotta save DC, man. We gotta go. So yeah, thank you for coming. We're rolling out. Travis, you have any final words before we wrap this thing up?
I don't. Thanks, movie watchers. We got more reviews, more discussions coming your way. Check us out on Facebook over at the Movie Watcher Club. Comment, post, do whatever you want. We love to talk stuff, so if you want to talk, shop, movie shop, that's the place to do it. Obviously, blah blah blah, whatever. We love you guys. Thanks for watching. Cool. Peace out. Let's go kill other bad people in DC.